Welcome back, Nerd Down in the Creek. We are going back to the whiteboard. All right, my graphics have elevated, or I guess not really, but I'm using multiple colors of markers now, not just 3, I've got 4. So I've upped my game by 25%. That's pretty cool, right? The ceiling is limitless. Just kidding. All right, we're talking about training versus practice versus competition. What do I mean? So workout is a 15-minute AMRAP of, workout is Cindy. You've all done Cindy before. If you haven't, look it up on CrossFit.com. 20-minute AMRAP, 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 air squats. As many reps or rounds as possible. Cindy, it is a competition. Why? Because we know what we've done in the past. We know what the stimulus or the standard is. Most of us are at a place where we know what our version of RX is, meaning what is the prescribed way that we should do it. And we are in competition with a former version of ourselves or a previous score. And even if we've never done it before, oftentimes the stimulus being provided to you is this is what you should be shooting for. So you are competing to get to that level. That is competition. Training. What is training? Training would be a 8-minute alternating EMOM of, say, a max calories in 45 seconds, 15 seconds rest on the erg or something, and then max wall balls in 40 seconds. There is a set limit. You are working probably up to something around 80 to 85% of your max effort. It kind of self-regulates, meaning like you can only go so hard for so long, and it is time limited. Like I have to stop at that 40 to 45 seconds. I have built-in rest. It's an 8-minute. We could take that out to 12 minutes, 16 minutes, 24 minutes. It is deliberate and specific training to work those physiological 10 general physical skills: endurance, stamina, strength, flexibility, right? That's training. Practice. Practice is for the next 15 minutes, we are going to work on handstand walks. We're going to take small little efforts and we're going to put a lot of rest in between, and we're going to try and accumulate 10 kick-ups, 10 perfect kick-ups. I don't ever want your heart rate to get above 120 or 115 beats per minute. That is practice. It is long, it is slow, it is boring, but the payout is you develop a skill, and you are taking yourself from that level 1 to level 2 adaptation. We'll talk about that some other time. All right, so why do I talk about that? Well, we as programmers, we here at Fairwinds CrossFit, try to balance a somewhere between 40-40-20. 40% training, 40% practice, 20% competition. That is your standard, where are we? That is a standard GPP, general physical preparedness, or a CrossFit as designed breakout. If you were to go back to some other training modalities, like kind of your traditional endurance training, long, slow, marathon, 5K, couch to 5K, some of the, other maybe like collegiate sports, it's more of about 70% training, right? It's a lot of like just grind it out, hour and a half workouts, maybe a little bit of practice. Maybe you got like a skill session once or twice a week at most. If you're lucky, maybe it's like off-season skill training, and then it's just field work, training. And then you compete about 10% of the time, right? Like, so you'd work up to, I'm going to train for the next 4 months for that 5K race or that marathon race 6 months from now. And I get one time to compete. So that's sort of that old school, not even old school, but sort of that traditional, about 70-20-10 split. And then we've got this sort of thing that has occurred over the last 5 to 10 years in CrossFit gyms, where I want to do a Metcon and a strength portion every day. I want to PR every single time I'm in the gym. I want to do a 5x5 deadlift and work up to my 5 rep max. Every time there's a strength on strength work, I'm going to get my PR. What we've got happening is you are competing every time you walk into the gym. You are training the rest of the time, or it's competition that turns into training because you kick the crap out of yourself so badly. You are never leaving any time for practice. This, ladies and gentlemen, is now what is the byproduct of people in CrossFit kind of getting into the main, I would say the mainstream and people know about it, high intensity interval training. That every time you work out, every time you step into the gym, you go to failure. That's competition, right? You're going against some sort of previously perceived version of yourself that you have to go hard every single time. And if you don't feel like you're on the floor, exhausted and dead, then you didn't get anything out of it. Unfortunately, this is what everybody thinks CrossFit, capital C, capital F is, but it's not. It's this. It is a lot more practice and training than you think, with competition maybe once or twice a week. And when I say competition, I mean a workout where like legitimately you go to failure. You go to as hard as you possibly can and you record it, and that's a benchmark or something that you want to keep track of. So I will give you an example, and we're kind of running a little bit long today, apologize. Today's workout, 5x5 deadlifts, 5 sets of 5 deadlifts. And the goal is to pick a heavy weight that is about 80% of your 1 rep max, and maybe not even your known 5 rep max, but you start at that, stay at that, and work across all 5 sets at a sub-maximal load with perfect mechanics. That you never fail a rep, that you never let your back round, that everything is perfect so that when you finish that 5th rep, you're a little woozy, but you're like, oh, okay, that was all right. And we do that 5 times across. Don't build across, because what that tells you is you did not get to a sub-maximal weight that is legitimately a sub-maximal weight to start, that you're not quite there yet. You need some more practice as an athlete to develop your training skill. But what it is not is competition. And then we had a nice little finisher at the end, which was the 8-minute alternating EMOM of a little bit of cardiovascular training on the bike and then a boatload of practice on the bar, sub-maximal effort of a toe to bar. So you're practicing a gymnastics movement now after incorporating or interfering with a little bit of cardiovascular training. So that's why those two coupled very well together. It was not a strength and a Metcon. It was actually 2 different practice opportunities with a little bit of training sprinkled in. No competition, folks. Record those numbers. Think about that. Think about how often you are competing in the gym rather than training and practicing. And I think you'd be surprised to see that a lot of us are over competing. We're not over training. Have fun. We'll see you on the creek.